we touched base on how to solve completing the square. Feel free to watch this video over here for more explanation, but basically read through these steps. You're going to need to follow it. We did it when we did the circles last time, the circles equation in the last topic, so we'll just give it a go. So we'll have a look at this example and I'll show you how to do it. So first of all, we need to complete the square and make basically factorize the brackets, make brackets instead of having an expanded form in order to solve it. So first step is to, so if I go back to my steps, rearrange the equation so that the constant coefficient is on the right hand side. So just the constant, which is that one, have to be on the right hand side. Everything else is on the left hand side. So that's where I start. Okay, step 2, what I have to do is add both sides, this factor. So you need to locate the coefficient, well, the term x over this one. The coefficient of it is this number, 4. And then you've got to divide it by 2 and then square that value. So to both sides, let me rewrite this equation. You leave a bit of space for the constant term. So basically, I have to divide the 4 by 2 and then square it. So if I just tidy that up a little bit, 4 divided by 2 is 2, so I'm just going to add that. And in order to balance the equation, because I can't just randomly add this term, I need to make sure I add it to the other side as well. Okay, so that's very important. Let's do step 3, factorize the left-hand side. That's pretty easy now. All I have to do is, hopefully you can see that it's kind of in this sort of arrangement. So when we factorize it, it goes to a plus b squared. So if I just kind of look at that analogy, it's going to be x plus 2 squared. And then all I have to do is figure out the right hand side. So minus 1 plus 4 is 3. Right, so almost there. So now I've factorized it. All I need to do is kind of solve it, because the question is you actually have to solve for x. So in order to solve for x, meaning you have to have x as a subject, so I need to get rid of the squared first. So I square root it. Now please be careful when you square root it, because, well, you technically don't need the brackets. You should technically have a plus or minus answer when you square root numbers. Right, just keep that in mind. You can have a positive number or a negative number. Now all I have to do is take the 2 away. So if I rewrite this, my x becomes minus 2 plus or minus square root 3. Normally we write the number at the front and then the square root, just so it looks a little bit neater. So these are my two solutions. My solutions, therefore, if I write it separately, minus 2 plus square root 3, or minus 2 minus square root 3. You should be able to chuck both of those in the calculator to get a decimal answer, but this is just an easier way of writing it rather than writing this. Both of them are right, just different ways of writing it. Right, so I'm going to quickly do example 5. So if the coefficient of x squared is not 1, so in this case it's not 1, we first divide throughout to make it a 1. So all I'm going to do is basically kind of factorize out the negative 3's to basically get rid of it and not worry about it. What happens if I divide by negative 3? I get negative 4, and then 5 over 3. I should have a negative there, equals 0. So now what I do is I kind of just take consideration of that, so I'm going to write it out. That equals 0. Now remember, our step 1 is to get rid of this to the right hand side, the constant term, so I'm just going to remove that. Alright, now let me leave a bit of space so we can do the next part. So what you need to do is locate the constant term. Mine's a minus, so you need to take that into consideration. Minus 4 divided by 2, and then square it. I know what minus 4 divided by 2 is, so I'm just going to replace it to make my life easier. And then remember to add it onto both sides as well to balance that equation. And then all I need to do is kind of write it out a little bit neater. So now this simplifies down to x take 2 squared. If you do the expansion and double check, it should equal that. So I'm not going to check it because I know that it's correct. And then all I have to do is 5 over 3 minus 2 squared is 4. You can leave it like that or use your calculator to figure it out. So that should be 3 over 5. I don't have a calculator with me, but you can just change it to a fraction that has the same denominator. So that'll be 12. So it'll be 17 over 3 if you really wanted to add them together. Right, now all I'm pretty much done. I just got to square it to get x by itself. So I get x take 2 equals plus or minus. Remember, anytime there's a square root, there's a plus and minus option. It's almost there. I just got to do plus 2 both sides to get rid of that minus 2. So therefore, my x will be 2 plus or minus square root 17 over 3. So exactly, meaning we don't need decimals. Exact numbers are these. These are exact numbers, so please don't go and change it to decimal points because there's no need for you to. Alright, so you should be able to write all of those examples down. Go back and write it down if you were just listening. That's all good. Make sure you do these questions. Obviously, I'm away, so get that done. And make sure you do all the extras for homework so we can keep moving on.